Corey Seager's return to the lineup could not possibly have come at a better time for the Rangers.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the World Series champion Texas Rangers. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan, covering this team for 11 seasons, including all 6 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank you all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, before we get into Corey Seager's triumphant return to Dodger Stadium, a phenomenal game from the A side of this bullpen, and as always, more injury updates. This episode is brought to you by Tax Network USA. Did you know that it's never too late to resolve your tax issues with the IRS? Don't wait. Reduce your tax debt and get help from a team of licensed professionals. Call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon. Now, it had been basically a week since Corey Seager had played a game for your fighting Texas Rangers. He had to sit out the first game back in Dodger Stadium as a member of the opposing team. He got a heartfelt, emotional, warm welcome from Dodgers faithful on Tuesday, and an absolute walloping of a game where, even with his bat back in this lineup, I don't think that would have changed what happened in the Tuesday night blowout. But in this game, his first game back, only DHing, not quite playing the field just yet. I believe that will happen tonight, hopefully. He'll be back to 100% his Corey Seager self, but the bat was back. Oh boy, was that bat back. And oh boy, did the Rangers need Corey Seager's bat, as they have quite literally all year long. The only scoring that the Rangers had in this game was a 3-run bomb by Mr. Corey Seager, a massive 3-run shot off of the starter Walker Buehler. Just a glorious home run by him. He is him. He has always been him. He will always continue to be him, the man of the moment, showing his former team, hey, I know you guys have been all right since I left, but don't you remember how amazing I was? Don't you remember how great I was? Don't you remember how I won you guys a World Series? And then you said, nah, we're fine. We'll stick with Gavin Lux. That will be our plan at shortstop. And even though Corey Seager doesn't want to revisit the past about him leaving the Dodgers, I think I do. I mean, the fact that they just let this guy walk, thinking, oh, we'll just grow another one of these. We'll just do this again. This will be fine. This is something that we can do. We can definitely just grow another guy who will get multiple top 10 MVP finishes. We'll just grow a guy who will get multiple All-Star nods, multiple Silver Sluggers, finish third in Rookie of the Year voting, or third in MVP voting as a rookie. We'll just do that again. We've got Gavin Lux. He's basically the same as him, right? Wrong. In the last year that the Dodgers had Corey Seager, he was their everyday shortstop. He only played in 95 games that year, but had a .915 OPS. They made a trade at midseason for Trey Turner, knowing that they would have him for another year, and so they said, okay, that's fine. And then they let Trey Turner walk as well. They didn't pay him either. Granted, they were clearly saving all their money for Yamamoto and Mr. Shohei Ohtani, who hit an absolutely massive tater in the first inning that kind of felt like an insurmountable lead at the time with the way this Rangers offense has been going, even though it was only a solo shot. But the Dodgers, they are fine, but it's just nice to see that reminder of, hey, this guy Corey Seager that you just let walk, and all these different other teams said, $325 million is a lot of money. 10 years is a lot of years for a guy with all kinds of health issues. I don't know if he's going to stay healthy. I don't know if he's going to be good enough even when he is healthy. And all he's done is bring the Texas Rangers their first ever World Series and been pretty darn phenomenal every minute that he has been on the diamond as a Ranger. And of course he got booed with that 3-run go-ahead shot. And he said it just comes with the territory, but it was a boo out of sign of respect of, dang it, I miss you, buddy. Maybe there were some of those tears in the boos of, oh, I can't believe we let this guy walk. I can't believe we are forcing Mookie Betts to be our shortstop. Just take the guy from the outfield, move him to second base. Actually, we're going to move him to shortstop because that's going to be the deal. And Gavin Lux is not the all-star Silver Slugger franchise shortstop that we thought we had drafted, and is not going to be the replacement for Corey Seager. It's hard to grow a Corey Seager, even if you are the Dodgers. And I think they are feeling a little bit of that pressure, even though the rest of their offense is absolutely fantastic. They're still doing fine. I don't think they're regretting it too much, but maybe just a little bit more after this game. This is a close game, a hard-fought game, and a game where the Rangers offense again struggled outside of Corey Seager. The only other extra base hit in this game was a double by Ezekiel Duran, his 5th of the season. He continues to swing a hot bat the last 7 games. He is hitting over 300 at 320. He has a 480 slugging percentage, 0 walks to 6 strikeouts, but 7 RBIs in those last 7 games. Zeke Duran has been a man on a mission. He has been inserted into this lineup against lefties more often. I like that. I also like seeing his defense out there at third base with Josh Smith playing shortstop since Corey Seager was DHing in this one. A multi-hit game for Josh Smith. But again, this offense with runners in scoring position, just not doing a whole heck of a lot outside of that massive tater by Corey Seager, of course. Just 1 for 9. Again, that was the only hit with runners in scoring position. But this team is still being aggressive on the base pass. They are still stealing bases. They are not letting getting caught deter them from stealing bases, and I like that. I like seeing that. I like seeing them still be aggressive, because if you're going to be aggressive on the base paths, if your offense is struggling, you got to do something. You've got speed on your team. You've got guys that are smart base runners, that are good base runners, that are fast base runners, and they should have been allowed to run a little bit wilder on the base paths last year, but especially this year when you've got guys like Wyatt Langford, like Josh Smith, like Ezekiel Duran, like Leody Taveras, like Evan Carter, whenever he comes back, and also Marcus Semien. I mean, basically everybody on this team, outside of Seager and Heim, and even Lowe can swipe it back every once in a while in the right situation. Same with Jonah. But I like seeing them go out there and be aggressive. It was a little interesting seeing a guy being pitch ran for, even though he's in the 98th percentile of sprint speed, and that guy who is pinch running for him getting it thrown out, trying to steal second base in Travis Jankowski. The reason for that, there was no injury. There was no, we got to be careful with Wyatt Langford's, hamstrings. It was, Wyatt Langford's playing the field, and Travis Jankowski is going to come in as a defensive replacement anyway. And Travis Jankowski, even though he isn't quite as fast as Wyatt Langford, he is a little bit of a better base runner than Wyatt, which I don't know that I think that, but if Bochy does, then great. He's got a little bit better instincts. He's a little bit, usually he's got more experience. That's what it is on the base paths. He's not nearly as fast as Wyatt. There are maybe 5 to 10 players in the entire league that are. Just kind of a peculiar move, and I don't mind it. I think it's fine. I think just the act of simply being aggressive on the base paths, continuing to stick with that when your offense isn't doing things, when they aren't getting the big hit, when they aren't getting the extra base hit, when they aren't hitting bombs outside of Corey Seager, you got to try something. And a lot of times that'll work. Maybe that'll work in just forcing pitchers to make mistakes, or forcing catchers to have errant throws and taking even more extra bases and then getting some sac flies if you can't get some hits with runners in scoring position. That's a way to score runs. Or it'll make the pitcher a little bit less focused on the batter and more focused on throwing the runner out, and he'll serve up a meatball, and a hitter will take advantage of that. Hopefully. Maybe not, but still trying things, sticking with it, not just seeing it happen in 1 or 2 games, but seeing it be consistent, and even seeing this team steal bases while down, while they're losing. That's something that you don't always see, and that's something that you see from the more aggressive teams. And it shows that they are committed to this. They know it's something that's helpful for their offense. And it's something they should absolutely continue to be doing as they move forward, even if this offense does start heating back up. I don't think they should get away from this. I don't think this is something that should be just a passing fad. I think this is something that should be a staple of their offense moving forward. I think it was a mistake not having it be a big part of their offense last year. But hey, as long as they're implementing it now and sticking with it, I think that is going to pay big dividends for this team down the road and hopefully pulling out of this dreadful offensive funk to start the season. But you know what hasn't been dreadful? This bullpen, and also the great defensive play to end this game. We're talking about all that and more right after this word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. With PrizePicks, you can turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite sports this summer. You can make a PrizePicks lineup in as little as 60 seconds. You just need to pick more or less on 2 to 6 players' stat projections, and you are locked in. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Get in on the daily action with your friends. Become part of the PrizePicks community today. Baseball season is officially underway, and again, there's no better way to cash in on the action than with PrizePicks. You can add your favorite players from the diamond to your PrizePicks lineups all season long. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, take your pick of more or less, then add them to your PrizePicks lineup today. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. This episode is brought to you by Policygenius. A lot of life is unpredictable, but a good life insurance plan gives your family a financial safety net to protect against some of the unknowns. Policygenius is the country's leading online insurance marketplace. It makes choosing the right policy for your family easy and quick. Policygenius helps you easily compare your options from America's top insurers in just a few clicks. With Policygenius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options are 100% online and let you avoid unnecessary medical exams. Their award-winning agents can even walk you through the process step by step. Your work-life insurance policy may not offer enough protection that your family needs. Even worse, it may not come with you if you leave your job. The Policygenius has no incentive to recommend one insurer over another, so you can trust their guidance. They have thousands of 5-star reviews on Google and Trustpilot for customers who have found the best fit for their needs. Get peace of mind finding the right life insurance policy with Policygenius. Head to policygenius.com or click the link in the description to get a free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com. Now, Wednesday night was a bad night to be a Leody Taveras hater. It just straight up was. He had a great 105-mile-an-hour single to get on base ahead of Corey Seager's 3-run bomb. And he also had a game-saving defensive play. Been shouting it from the mountaintops. Leody Taveras is fine. He's a solid player. He is not your best player. He is your number 9 hitter. And he is a very good defender in center field. This is a ball that was absolutely drilled by Jason Hayward, a ball that nearly got past him, but Leody did a good job of getting in front of the ball, making a strong throw, the correct read to throw to the cutoff man, Marcus Semien, who made a great relay throw to the plate to Jonah Heim to nail the runner at home plate, the potential tying run, Andy Pajes, who ran through a stop sign and ended this game with a Rangers 1-run victory. Oh, God, was it incredible. And also, very rude of Dave Roberts to not respect us in the Central Time Zone and our sleep schedules, challenging the final play of the game. I know that's what he should do as a manager, even though he knew there was no hope. Just hoping for some kind of replay review nonsense. But look at this. Look at this. Honestly, part of me expected Jonah Heim to be screwed yet again on a catcher blocking the plate rule replay review challenge that ended up being a game-deciding play. It felt like that 2023 White Sox game all over again. Just I had some flashbacks, some horrors, some terrors that were terrorizing me. But nope, replay review did not begrudge Jonah Heim for his headset celebration from a year ago. Maybe they have lifted their grudge in replay reviews going against Jonah Heim. Maybe that one early on this season was the final one in that coffin, but just a great defensive play. A great throw by Leote, great throw by Marcus. Just seeing this defense work at its best. It's had some lapses. I mean, as recently as the game before, in a 3-run homer that went off the glove or shoulder, or whatever it was, off of Wyatt Langford, that ended up being all the runs that the Dodgers would need, that scored all in that first inning. But still, that's why you have Leote Taveras. He has an absolute bazooka cannon for an arm in center field, and usually center fielders don't always have the strongest arms. Usually that goes in right field. Usually you put your weakest arm in left field, and so that's why the Rangers have had Leote in center, because having a center fielder with an absolute nuclear heat-seeking missile for an arm in center field, it's a luxury. It's a nice thing. It's an added bonus. Leonis Martin. I can't begin to describe how much joy it brought me watching Leonis Martin field balls so cleanly and make absolute laser beam throws to nail runners that thought they were easily going to get that extra base. That's what Leote does. That's what Adolis Garcia does, except other teams have figured out to not run Adolis Garcia. I guess the third base coach for the Dodgers knew not to run on Leote Taveras, but Andy Pages did not learn not to run on Leote Taveras. Maybe he did with this one, but still. Nice to see a game-ending, amazing defensive play. I love center field defense. I love Leote's center field defense. And I'm hoping they can pull out of this massive, massive offensive slump that he has been in, because that would be a nice little way for this Rangers offense to start to get going. Just a smidge. But the Rangers did get some reinforcements back on Wednesday. Not just Corey Seager's getting back in the lineup, but they also got Brock Burke back off the IL. They also got some other positive injury updates. Josh Young took BP against Tyler Mahle. He did get hit in the left wrist. Kind of scary moment, but he ended up being totally fine. He is cleared for a round rock rehab assignment. Easy for you to say. Try saying that 5 times fast. But it's not exactly clear when that round rock rehab assignment will start. But what is clear is that he'll need about 30 at-bats of game experience before the Rangers will reevaluate him and see exactly when he is going to rejoin this Rangers big league lineup. I know the Rangers are anxious to have him back. I know he's anxious to get back. Got to make sure that he is okay first. He's going to have another live batting practice. It'll be against Josh Sborz today. It'll be Sborz' first time throwing to live hitters since his most recent injury. Then we'll see what happens with Josh Sborz and his rehab assignment. The Rangers are going to want to see quite a few rehab outings for Josh Sborz before he comes back. He didn't have that many outings before his most recent return off the IL with this exact same shoulder injury. So they're going to want to make sure that everything is okay, hunky-dory, before he comes back this time, because it was only a couple outings that he had returning off the IL before he went right back on with the exact same injury, and that is not something that the Rangers want. They want to make sure Sborz is fully healthy, fully good to go once he does come back off the IL. But these are some positive injury updates as well. Mahle is going to take a week off of throwing. This was scheduled. This is not, there was a setback. Nope, there was no setback for Mahle. He looked good, felt pretty good. Then the Rangers will have him throw, I think, a couple more bullpens before they evaluate when he is going to go on a rehab assignment. How long exactly that will take, I'm not entirely sure. I think the target date is still the end of July for him to return to this, or just join this rotation. He's not returning because he's never pitched in a Rangers regular season game just yet, but I am very much anticipating when that will happen eventually. The guy who the Rangers did get off the IL, Brock Burke, back from the broken hand, back from the fight that he lost with Adore to the Houston clubhouse, an embarrassing injury. He will admit it. He'll be the first one to admit it. And this year has not gone how Brock Burke expected it. Last year, there were some flashes for Brock Burke looking a little bit like the 2022 version of himself that was honestly one of the best lefty relievers in baseball. It's easy to forget about that because the back half of last year was just so rough for Burke, as it was for basically every Rangers reliever. But unlike Jose Leclerc and Josh Sborz, He did not go on the heater of his life in the playoffs last year. He was basically unused, even though he was on the roster for most of that playoff run. Did get a couple outings there, but nothing too memorable, nothing too great. And this year he had been shelled, just truly shelled. And that was part of why he was so frustrated after that last outing where he punched a door. Thankfully, he did it with his non-pitching hand, but still ended up with a fracture in his hand. Had to go to Arizona. The Rangers basically shipped him off and said, You're not going to hang out with this team. That's not a great look for you. We're going to put you in Arizona. Go learn from your shame and just don't do that again. I mean, he immediately felt his regret. He called Bochy, he called Maddox, and apologized and said, "This is embarrassing. This is not who I am. This is not how I want to behave." And he learned from his mistake. That's all we can ask for anyone. He also learned from some of his mistakes pitching wise this year, in that he cannot be this only fastball guy that he was trying to be. Brock Burke's fastball is by far his best pitch. That four-seamer is really darn good. The shape of it, the velocity, how it looks to lefties and righties, it is a really, really good pitch. But you can't live on just one pitch, unless you're Mariano Rivera, which I love Brock Burke, but he'd be the first one to tell you he is not Mariano Rivera. And so he needs to get back to that pitch mix that was working for him when he was the dominant version of himself back in 2022. He was throwing the slider about 20% of the time, the changeup about 13% of the time, and using the sinker about 4% of the time. He's been a little bit different with that this year. He's been throwing 69.4% four-seamers this year, which is both nice and also, more importantly, not as nice. He used the changeup a little bit more often this year, and I think that pairs well. He said he needs to get hitters off of his fastball. He said he was trying to beat hitters with fastballs when he didn't need to. He said, I need to get back to being that pitcher that didn't just rely on my fastball, that wasn't just trying to blow the fastball by guys, because he can do that occasionally. But when any big league hitter knows what pitch is coming, he's going to hit it. Doesn't matter where you put it. Doesn't matter if it's a great pitch. Doesn't matter if it's exactly where you want to throw that fastball. If a big league hitter knows what's coming, more times than not, they are going to do damage on that pitch, and that's what's happened to him this year. And so he needs to be a little bit better about that. I mean, he just does, and he knows it, and hopefully he will be, because the Rangers need some help in that 6th and 7th inning. We'll see how long he basically needs to outpitch Jacob Latz whenever the Rangers get Max Scherzer back, or whoever the next guy off the IL is back. It's going to be between Latz and Brock Burke. Now, Latz does have some options, so that might mean the Rangers are going to lean more towards sending Latz down and keeping Burke up if Burke is proving himself to be a reliable relief option. But it's going to be tough. The Rangers have not been good in the 6th and 7th innings. They have been outscored in those innings by 40 runs in this little nugget from Evan Grant's article. Now, part of that's because the Rangers aren't scoring, but part of that is because the relievers in the 6th and 7th innings haven't been great. But the guys who have been coming in the 8th and 9th have been absolutely fantastic. We're going to talk about them and more right after this word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Tax Network USA. Here on Locked On Rangers, we pride ourselves in giving you the latest news for your team. Whether it's the offseason, the draft, spring training, or the playoffs, it is year-round. You know what else is year-round? Collection season. Just because tax season is over doesn't mean the IRS will stop coming after you for unfiled taxes. The IRS can garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, and even seize your property. Don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals and tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. With over 14 years of experience and an A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in tax debt. Whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters that require tax planning, or finally hit the parlay this season and need help correctly filing, call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon. See the link in the episode description below. Now, on yesterday's show, I talked a little bit about the B side of this bullpen not quite being deep enough, not quite being good enough, and we definitely saw that on display in the opener of this game, with Grant Anderson being absolutely blasted, Jesus Tinoco not being great, and the rest of this pen just not quite being able to step up when the Rangers needed them. Obviously, the offense didn't really do its fair share either, but still, having a B-side that can keep you in games while you are losing, while hopefully your offense figures things out, it's important. It is absolutely important. But the A-side of this bullpen, time and time again this year, has really, really stepped up. As has the starting pitching for the most part. This was not the best game for Jon Gray, but he's still working his way back to being 100%, being up to his full pitch count. He only threw 3 innings in this one. The only run that he allowed was a Shohei Ohtani home run, which, again, happens to quite literally everyone. 17th home run of the season for Shohei Ohtani, but after that, this guy was absolutely nails. 3 innings, just 4 hits, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts for him in this one, but only up to 65 pitches. Not the most in the zone Gray has been. If he had been a little bit more efficient staying in the zone, he threw 65 pitches, but only 36 of those were for strikes. I'd like to see that be a little bit higher, but, and only giving you 3 innings is, I don't know if that's exactly what the Rangers were expecting, and I'm a little surprised that we didn't see Jose Urena in this one, but that's because the Rangers knew exactly what they were doing. They had a plan in this one. 3 innings, what they got out of Jon Gray. They ended up getting a lead in the 5th, and were able to go to this bullpen for 6 innings, just allowed the 1 run, and it was a phenomenal effort by everybody in the A side of this bullpen. Jacob Latz, phenomenal work from him, 2 shutout innings. Jose Leclerc, phenomenal work from him, another 2 shutout innings. And then on comes David Robertson. And what does he do? He faces the top 3 of this order, and he strikes them out in order. The big 3, the nasty 3, the best top 3 in any lineup in all of baseball. The Yankees are close. I can't remember exactly who their number 3 hitter is, though. But it's whoever it is, they're not as good as Freddie Freeman. But 3 guys all hitting, well, Freeman is at 299 now. But before this game, 3 guys who were all hitting over 300 with OPSs above 900. And David Robertson is the first one this year to strike all 3 out in order. He looked absolutely phenomenal. He has been so huge for this Rangers team. Time and time again, that's not to say that he's been perfect. Nobody is. But he's had way more good outings than bad outings. And that's what you hope out of your 8th inning guy. That's what David Robertson has been. And getting him to only throw 1 inning in this one, getting 2 masterful innings from Latz and from Leclerc was huge. And Leclerc has quietly worked his way back into that 6th, 7th inning role. In his last 8 games, Jose has a 0.75 ERA, 12 innings pitched, 16 strikeouts. Most importantly, just 3 walks in those 12 innings. He's been getting much better. He's been looking much more like the version of himself that we saw close out World Series games, close out the ALCS, and help propel this team to win in a bunch of close games, which is what this team has been doing all year long. They are 9-6 in 1-run games this year. 9-6. They're perfect 3-0 at extra inning games. The last few years, this team has been just straight up awful in these close games. Awful. Outside of the postseason, where they were phenomenal in most of those, almost every game in the postseason, they were truly fantastic. But seeing this team win these close games, that's how they're sticking around to this fight. That's how they're sticking around the AL West. If they were, average or below average or where they've been the last, 2, 3, 4 years in 1-run games, this team is out of it, and we're talking about being sellers at the deadline because they've had guys like Robertson, like Leclerc lately, like Latz, and also Kirby freaking Yates. His 9th save of the season did allow a run on that RBI double, game-ending double, not a 2-run double by Jason Hayward, but again, he did what he needed to get this team out of it. His 9th save of the season. The Rangers don't have a whole lot of saves because they've played in quite a few blowouts either way, and they've just been losing a lot of games as of late. And so you don't get saves if you're not getting wins, and that's where this team has been. They just have not been getting wins. They have not been getting the minimal amount of offense enough to keep them ahead, to let them get to their phenomenal closer in Kirby Yates, who, by the way, if he's not an all-star, I don't know what the heck we're doing with all-star voting. Again, you can't vote for pitchers for whatever reason. I've literally never heard a good explanation for that. It just kind of confuses me why we can vote for every single hitter. Also confuses me why Wyatt Langford is not on the ballot at all. The Rangers I love Josh Young, but shoehorning him in his 4 games at DH as opposed to giving Wyatt Langford a chance to get some votes, it boggles my mind. And Wyatt's been it's been close. But I think that maybe Evan's been just a little bit better. But Wyatt Langford, as of late, has been heating up. His last 7 games, he's been having some great plate appearances. He's hitting .280 with a .357 on base and slugging .480 over those last 7 games. Still does not have a home run in that span. I'm still waiting for that home run barrage that I know Wyatt Langford is going to go on. But still, seeing him have these better at-bats, seeing him work these counts, seeing him work these walks as well as playing the field just a little bit more, getting those reps out there in the outfield, and finding out that he actually is mostly decent defensive outfielder, not the disaster that I think some people were anticipating him being out there in the outfield. He's not elite, but he's got some physical tools to make up for some of his mistakes on reads and late jumps and things like that. But I really like what I've seen from Wyatt. I am hoping that he is just around. I've been saying this basically all season, and I haven't been right yet. I'm hoping that Wyatt can prove me right in the near future, that he is just around the bend from a massive hot streak. The Rangers just need somebody offensively to go on a massive hot streak besides Corey Seager, because as fun as it was seeing Corey Seager just save the Rangers back in the day, to keep in this race, to get back in the actual race of the AOS, they're still not totally out of it. But to climb back realistically for the long term, there needs somebody to go on a heater, and can't just expect Corey Seager to save the day every single time. But even when it happens, it's nice to appreciate that it's happening for your team, that Corey Seager, 2-time World Series MVP, is indeed a Texas Ranger for the long haul. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank y'all so much for listening and subscribing, and until next time, don't forget to enjoy World Series champion Texas Rangers baseball.